should now be live. Hello everyone, I'm just going to double check that everything is working correctly on OBS. Would appear to be. Excellent, how are you all doing today? I just realised that the game music is off, because I was doing some recording earlier on. Oh no, the game music is on. Huh. Hello Rob, hello Berenzen. My day has been okay. Got a few chores around the house done. Recorded the Jurassic World Evolution 3 review that I wanted to get done, although that probably won't get edited until, well, for a while. Did some prep work for another video I've got ready to go, so yeah, had a productive day. How was your day? And have a drink of a well-known British fizzy drink. So, today I want to focus on building smaller stuff, because as much as I enjoy building, for example, this thing last time, it took a long time, it's very big. What I wanted to focus on today is building planters and enrichment items. So I'm going to start with some enrichment items, and then we'll move on to planters, and then we'll see how we go. And yes, I've already got a list of like some very basic ones that I want to work on. Everything here is here just to help me sort of have a size reference, especially when it comes to the dinosaurs and such. So yeah, the first thing I'm going to do is focus on a sand bath. Now, I need to have an actual look and see what's going to be the best way of doing this. Let's have a look. Those will come in handy for something later. Wood, then. Do we not have gravel? We do have placeable sand. That's quite nice, and we can have it in circles and triangles and squares. Okay. So what I want to do then is I need to think about what sort of size this needs to be. And I'm probably going to have to make use of these sorts of pieces for this. Now, if I put one of these down, so if I build a hexagon or octagon, that sort of size would be decent enough for a raptor. But for something like Parasaurolophus, you'd probably need one that's at least like 2 of those in size. So we'll start with a small one, I suppose. Yes, the insect feeder idea we'll get to, but I was having a look on Planet Zoo's wiki, and I saw the one that they have, and I was like, that... The insect termite mound, there is a piece in rocks which I think could make for a reasonable version of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an octagon out of these boys, and gonna try and get it to be as perfect as we can. Hello, chat. I'm doing okay. How are you doing today? Now, in theory, I should just be able to duplicate this half, rotate it. Ah. The theory does work, but only if I delete that bit and duplicate that bit. We need a mirroring command in this. Now, this is going to be the tricky bit. You need to make sure that it's... See, that's a bit too out of position. It needs to be a little bit more that way. Honestly, I cannot imagine doing some of this moving around on a console. I really can't. There we go. Now, what is going to be the most piece-effective way of filling this up with sand? Where is sand? There is sand. How big can we make the sand? We cannot make the sand that big. But that would fit in each side, and then we would just have to fill the middle. So that would work. So let's make it there. That's like literally hovering up on that top. So what we can do is just bury it. Bury. I think that is perfect. Duplicate. Oh, the duplicate button is the ultimate button. It really is. There. Then we're going to dupe these two pieces. And we're going to spin them around. And there we go. Perfect. True, that is true, Chad. And we're having to rely heavily on imagination to do it when we're doing stuff like this. Fundamentally, I think animal enrichment ought to be part of the evolution games. I know that is something that me and Evo disagree with. Evolution Square, when I last spoke to her about it, she was not in favor of enrichment being added. But I personally don't think you can have a zoo-type game in 2025 and not include animal enrichment. Because it's just... Because animal enrichment is so important for the lives of animals that are in captivity. And to ignore it is... Well, I just don't think you can. And moreover, I don't think you should. I don't think animal enrichment should be ignored if you are creating a zoo-style game. I don't think you should ignore animal enrichment. I think to do so is just a bit... not necessarily dangerous, but shows an not understanding or a misunderstanding of some of the problems of captivity and zoos in general. Okay. Having stuff duplicated is going to cause some problems. We aren't going to be able to make this look very good if we leave obvious seams. We'll have to be careful. Okay, how did that one end up slightly lower than the rest? Are they all slightly too low? They are all slightly too low. God damn. That happened. This is why we really need a numerical value for doing stuff like positioning. Because otherwise, it's almost impossible to get it correct. That looks okay to me. Hell, Jurassic World had enrichment, I'm pretty sure. I don't know about that, personally. We didn't see any forms of enrichment. But, I mean, fundamentally, animal enrichment is a really vital part of keeping animals in captivity healthy. You can't not do it. If you're keeping animals in captivity, you cannot not have enrichment. Because you will just have so many problems. Like, it is just simply infeasible to ignore it. I mean, when you've got really intelligent animals like velociraptors running around, you want enrichment because you want hyper intelligent animals like those raptors to be being kept entertained, you know. And if you don't keep them entertained, well, we all know what happens, don't we? Oh, bugger, I didn't mean to do that. We're getting a little bit of Z fighting going on here. Honestly, I've never experienced a game with as much Z fighting as this one. Oh, that's annoying. Got away with it. The first DLC should be about Jurassic species. Well, no, I don't agree with that. I think the first DLC ought to be... Can we have some lagoons that are actually worthwhile having, please? That, for me, should be where the game starts with its DLC. We need the lagoons in far better condition. Urgently. To hell with Jurassic World Rebirth and all the rest of that nonsense. Give us new lagoon animals and give us new lagoon features. Otherwise, no one's going to bother with them again. And that was the problem. That was the problem Evolution 2 had, and that was the problem with the actual aquatic species pack that they did. There was no point doing it because no one used the lagoons because they were boring to begin with, and them introducing the species that they did, people didn't ever use the lagoons more often, or at least that's what, you know, when I asked people about it, that was primarily the problem. There we go. There is our colossal sand bit. Now, I think I would like this sand bath to look a little more interesting visually. So, let's see. We probably need some sort of metal in here. Something a bit like that, maybe, but not that. Have we got anything? No. What can we do with this? Maybe if we... something like that, add like this, shrink it down a bit. How thin do we need it? It's as small as we can get it. Maybe a bit smaller. Okay, and then maybe... I want something in the corners, because I think this, I want there to be something at each, you know, position. There was those brackets, wasn't there? But I don't think I can make these small enough. No. No, I can't make them small enough. Oh, don't even mention dinosaur-human hybrids. You'll give them ideas. Do we have anything in here that might... do what I want it to do. No. Okay. Maybe... No. No. But that is, maybe something like that. No, but I feel like we're getting close. How small can we make these? Not small enough. Maybe if we just put one... Okay, what do you folks think? Something like that in each corner above the wood or below the wood? Oh, actually, no. I've just had a completely different idea. That way, it just looks like a really chunky screw. See? I was on to something with that all along. Just looks like the top of a bolt or something like that. Yeah, it's subtle. It just adds a little bit of extra detail, which is what I wanted. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I can group this all as one, right? I can. Okay, good. Is that enough for a sand bath? Or should we, like... Desert, Mediterranean... Temperate... Cat. I'm just thinking, should we maybe, try to bury a few stones in here just to give it a little texture? I don't think it could hurt just to have... Doesn't have to be a huge number. I just want it to be texturous, for want of a better term. Yeah, maybe one more over here. Ah! He went flipping crazy. Be a little higher up. It just adds a little texture to it, so it doesn't appear so flat. Maybe we could also add maybe just those are a little large. Do we have something smaller? That was not smaller. Dry, prickly Russian thistle. Let's put a couple of these around. Aloe plants. Ooh. And maybe that's a bit big. Just one of those as well. Again, just to make it less, you know, boring to look at. I think that works. Do we have... I'm just thinking... We really want a way to make it look like they've used it, if it's possible. Matching this color is going to be... That's... I think that's as close as I'm gonna get it. I don't know, does that indicate that something has used it? I don't think it does. Fire marks, dirt. Oh, maybe I could put some actual sand decals in here, actually. Oh, they're all... I absolutely hate it when that happens. Actually, that helps quite a bit, just to give it a little, you know, powderiness, actually, doesn't it? This is a sand bath, not a rock bath. Are you trying to break the dinosaurs' backs? Well, one of the things about having stuff for animals is you need to make it look natural. And I think part of that would probably be... including elements to make it seem more realistic. Have you got any, like, moss that's kind of... maybe... Why is everything so big? That's what she said, I guess. It's annoying because the decals don't... Maybe I should place them on the ground instead. So at the moment it all looks a bit too clean, but everything is too big really to fit. Why do you keep... Ever since the update the other day, the modular building system has not worked quite the way it normally did before the update. It started doing really odd stuff. It certainly helps, but again, it just doesn't fit quite perfectly. That's gonna bug me. I've not been paying attention to it yet, so I don't have a favorite. Plus, I don't... Like, the more I've, been doing this channel, the more I've realized that sometimes I would kind of prefer to go into something with no knowledge at all. Like, I'd rather just, watch it for the first time without knowing anything about it, and then be able to not necessarily not make preformed judgments, because I think everybody makes preformed judgment. I think that's natural human behavior, but I guess be able to be excited for it. If you know what I mean. Like, I think if you know too much about something, you end up not really being excited for it when you do finally get a hold of it. And I kind of want to be excited for this since it's being made by Tim Haynes. That's better. It looks a little less plain now. I'm happier with that. Can we make this... slightly pinker sand? Again, just for some color differentiation. I think that's almost too pink. I don't believe I can't get something. That's better. Much better. There we go. I think that looks good. I think you could put that in with an enclosure and it not be too weird. And your raptor would definitely fit in it. And, you know, most of your smaller herbivores would fit in that. So actually, I think that's quite good. So I'm going to grab all of that, confirm. We are going to create group. And we are going to make blueprint. And we are going to name this Sandbath. Small and medium animals. Large ones obviously would never fit in that. Lovely. Always remember to group your things so you can delete them easily. I was doing some preparations for a video I want to record next week, sorry, and the number of people that hadn't grouped the buildings. Very annoying. Right, so we can take that one out of this list. By the way, this list is only here to sort of give me reference of some of the ones I want to do. The thermal pad. Let's do the thermal pad because I had this idea earlier on when I was thinking about it, and I was like, "Oh, that could be interesting." Now, it needs to start with a ground texture that makes sense. Concrete. Maybe concrete does make the most sense. Yeah, I think. Actually, maybe stone, actually. Okay, let's do stone. How big could we make it? Make it reasonably large again. Yep, that'll do. Now, I want to have a surrounding for this. Again, probably just might go with wooden. Because I don't think metal would be a good idea, so I think we will just go for the wood again. Oh, bugger. I mean, I'm excited to see what Tim Haynes manages to do, because frankly, walking with dinosaurs has never been surpassed. Yeah, sure, there have been programs that look better. There have been programs with more accurate dinosaurs. There have been programs with perhaps better action, or whatever you want to call it, more imaginative behavior. But fundamentally, no program has ever done everything well. Not, I don't think not in the same way that Walking with Dinosaurs. Walking with Dinosaurs just had the best of everything. At the time, available at the time. Yes, there were mistakes made, but you can't hold the show's mistakes against it just, you know, because it was made in the time it was made. If you take the time into consideration, it was the most accurate that had ever been. There was some truly interesting, unique behaviors in it, which for me was sort of where Prehistoric Planet always fell down. I feel like too many of the behaviors they showed in the Prehistoric Planet show were primarily hunting and feeding and babies. And I always thought that's not come out correctly. I always felt that the show needed to focus on more than just that. I also think that as good as David Attenborough is as a narrator, and he is superlative, Sir Kenneth Branagh brought the sort of Shakespearean... Yes, hello. You're alright. Sorry, just talking to Dean. Kenneth Branagh brought that sort of Shakespearean dramatis to everything. And it just gave the show a little extra, I think. Because fundamentally, these things are dramatic. Dinosaurs are dramatic creatures, and I would argue that's why we're all in love with them, because they are dramatic animals, or they would have been dramatic animals to see for real. And I think Sir Kenneth Branagh's Shakespearean way of talking and acting really lent itself to Walking with Dinosaurs. I think some of the language also helped. The way that it was scripted, because all these paleontology programs, they're all scripted. They all start as storyboards in the same way that any film does. So really, what the narrator says is kind of as important as what's being displayed on the screen. Hello, Ark. Welcome to the stream. Like, there's a particular... It's not Walking with Dinosaurs, it's Walking with Beasts. But there was a particular line that I still remember to this day. And it was when the Gastornis attacks and kills the Propaleotherium. And Kenneth Branagh, you know, lets the action happen, and then he says, "This is a world where birds eat horses." Now, you could never imagine David Attenborough saying something like that. But the way that Kenneth Branagh says it, it just added that sort of extra thing to it, I guess, you know. Note to Fletcher, Ark is called Marconi. Ah, sorry. I will endeavour to remember that, but I'll be honest, I am useless at remembering names, so I still might accidentally call you Ark. Why is this proving so hard to do? It really shouldn't. Just want the bloody things to line up correctly, that's all. Why is that not lining up right? Ah. You'd love a remake of the Walking with Life trilogy, or with current knowledge. You know, I'm not sure I would. I kind of think that some of the charm of the original Walking with Life trilogy is the fact that it isn't perfect. That might be blasphemy to say, but I think that's why we like it so much. I've been thinking more about that when, like, thinking about the weird dichotomy between whether the animals in Jurassic should be realistic or whether they should be, you know, Jurassic. And I kind of think that one of the things that draws people to stuff like dinosaurs is, well, we don't know what they looked like. So we like the ability to make them look like whatever we wanted them to look like. And I think that's one of the big advantages, or one of the things that draws us to it. Right. Now, I want something in... Basically, what I want this to be is... I want there to be a circular... It's probably better to actually put the roof on this first. Copper... Corrugated... Glass, metal, thatch. Thatch would be a terrible idea for what I have in plans. Tile would work, but the tile roofs only come in straight pieces, and I would rather want a circle to this. Unless I tiled everything. So maybe it is better to go with corrugated. Maybe it is better to go with the copper in that case. Just want to get the size of what I want the roof. how big of a roof I want to have. That would work, although it's a bit spiky. Do you not have something a bit flatter than that? Apparently not. I want it to be reasonably tall, so that it's at least possible that a reasonably large dinosaur could get in here. Oh, I think we might have a few positions in the wrong place. Ah. Okay, that bit is in the right place. That bit was not. Okay, that bit is now in the right place. This bit is now in the right place. Ever since the update, duplicate has also been broken. Okay. Now, how would we do the corners? Paleontologists in the future be like, now we know the British dinosaurs were wearing hats and drinking tea. I can see it. Yeah, that's not going to work either. It might have to be a circle. Maybe we'll go with thatch after all. I think thatch will look... it'll just look nicer on this sort of building. Just need to make sure I've got the rough position. Okay. Now then, is that in theory tall enough? Not for a big one. Maybe a big one if it walked on all fours like it bloody well ought to. Sorry. Okay. Now we need to think about the pillars. I don't want to use the plaster ones. Why did you put two? I want the roof to be the same shape as the pad on the ground, though. I like the shape of the pad on the ground. It's the roof I'm not liking. Ah, hello, Evo. I've only unlocked some of them. I've still got quite a few of them to go. But I did another of the challenge modes today. The bias in challenge mode, I absolutely hate it. I don't think we could make this in the shape that I wanted. So, in that case... case, all this was a waste of time. Sorry, folks. Sometimes I think before I should. Right. Let's go. Where's that stone stuff again? Stone. Right. One, two, three, four. Why is that powder coated? Three. At least if I do it this way, if we want to put a different roof on it, for, you know, have a non-thatchy version, then, excuse me. What? Really? Frontier, you can give us a piece to fill that gap in. You made us do it ourselves. I hate using more pieces than really ought to be required, and stuff like that is exactly using more pieces than should be required. Okay. Hopefully it's something I don't want so I can avoid the bias in one. I think it's the Brachiosaurus statue, so probably like the one statue you probably do want because it could make for quite a grand statue. But it was awfully annoying. Oh, you already did the Brachio. Was it Brachie then? Maybe it was a different species. I just thought the Biosyn one was particularly annoying. Just like, here's another dinosaur, here's another dinosaur. I'd already gotten 5 stars before they even gave me stuff like the Dreadnoughtus and the T-Rex. But it's like, oh no, you absolutely must have these extra animals in the park, you know. The misery didn't stop, even though I had already gotten to 5 stars. Duplicate, there we're not working again. Yes, this is going to be a thermal pad. I had the idea when I saw Evo's video from, I think it was this week. Was it this week's Workshop Wednesday? When I saw the guy who did the laser fencing with the neon lighting, and I was like, that's an awfully good idea. And then I was like, if you paint them red, they can be heating elements. And that is what we're doing here. We are going to create a thermal pad for our dinosaurs to warm themselves up on. That is the plan, anyway, to make a passable one. Okay. Now we can put the plaster columns in the sides. These are a little thick. I don't want them that thick. Yes, that is what she said. Oh, drat. It doesn't have the concrete around the... Aha. Interesting. I may have to do some trimming. Bugger. Because I kind of need there to be some, you know, concrete lining so that I can stick stuff to it. It would look awfully weird if you just stuck, like, a bunch of really hot heating elements to a bunch of thatch. I mean, to be honest, we probably ought to actually have a hole in the roof to allow heat actually to escape. So I might remove the things on the top of the roof and put like a netting or something like that in instead. We don't want heat to build up and set fire to all this thatch. I mean, that's why I was originally not going to use thatch, but I think thatch just looks the nicest. No, I want to get that one, thank you. Hopefully once we get one side done, we can just do the others. You'd beat me to it. Ha ha ha, I'm wising up to your tricks. Okie dokie. Oh. Ah. Excellent. I think somewhere around... Actually, let's just make sure it's lined up. That's acceptable, and it's a little off there. That's fine, that's fine. That was just before that last row of wood. So, about there. Hi. About there. Now we have to do is fill in the gap. Then we have something to put our pillars onto. Ah. Hello, Saber. Is not correctly positioned. That's acceptable. Duplicate. If there's one thing I really don't like in modular building, it's the camera modes. They gave us 3 camera modes, and they're all crap. Right, there we go. Oh. Hello, Wonder Frog. Right. Is it me, or does that thatch not quite line up correctly? It doesn't, does it? But that is the correct piece, but the thatch doesn't line up correctly. Oh well. Right, yeah. Let's remove that. So I think we need to make sure there's somewhere for the heat to clear out. I bet you we don't have anything like a net. No, we don't. Could use something like that. How big can I make that? Not as big as I would like, and then people will complain at me that they have to have the DLC to use it. Fence, piece of fence, maybe? Chain fence. Something like that would probably work. Rotate. Ah. It is just a smidge too long. How low does it have to go in order to be? How low does it have? That is acceptable. We can disguise the edge. Maybe not with that. Does it make sense to disguise the edge of that with thatch? It does in my mind. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay. I kind of want to put another one of these. No, not that. No! This is the problem when you have a mouse that's like set up for playing games like Wolfenstein and War Thunder, where you're expected to be able to snap it really fast around. What is PP Trike Tractor? Ah! Can someone tell me what the PP Trike Tractor is? I'm sure someone should be able to figure it out. Prehistoric Park is correct. Evo has it. Of course, Evo knew exactly what I meant. She is a lady of class. Ish. Never seen it. What? You have not seen Prehistoric Park? Class-ish accurate. Okay, so that gives us something to put our thermal banks on. Now we are going to decide upon these columns. I think round ones would probably look better. But I want to use the plaster, but the plaster doesn't come in round. So annoying. I had this problem when I was doing my Jurassic Park Operation Genesis fountain build. I was like, I know the pieces I want to use. I want to use those pieces, but they don't come in the right shapes. What does Frontier have against shapes? Like, The lagoons are always only circles. We have never gotten another shape. The aviaries are always circles. They haven't come in another shape. Frontier, they're just shapist. They just don't like other shapes. They just like bland, boring, generic shapes. Maybe they've been taken over by the Borg, and that's why. Everything must be geometrically perfect to please the Borg masters. If you don't know who the Borg are, watch Star Trek. Right, let's... I want something for these columns to sit on. I have to be very careful when saying that. This will work. It's almost perfect. The fact that they've broken the duplicate function is low-key driving me up the wall. We'll disguise these columns with something. Now, how to do the thermal banks. I'm going to create these off the thing because... Okay, so I want each one to be kind of like... Maybe 3 wide? Yeah, 3 wide. Let's make sure they're all lined up correctly. And I reckon about that gap. Blasphemy! I shall call the Inquisition. No one suspects it. Right. Obviously we want these to be a glorious red. And... What would you want them to be in or on? You'd want them to be... on something metal. Maybe. What I kind of want is like a thin metal tray. I remember seeing something... Well, that's wood. Wouldn't want that. You know, that might work. Let's put one of them down, because that could work. There was something else I saw. Columns, trim. I don't know why it's just created that thing. It's like a... it's like a box. What the bloody hell was it called? I thought it was in awnings. it's not an awning, then maybe it was columns? Windows and doors? Yeah. Oof. No. Ah, this is it. Random. Okay. What does that look like got rotated? No, that's not going to work. Okay, let's try this then. Ever so slightly. Yeah, no, I'm not happy with that either. That could work. You know, sometimes the simplest solution is to keep it simple, stupid. That works. Okay. Now what I want to do is place them on not that one, this one. This is where the awkwardness is going to set in. Because they are, whoops, a little too large. So if we shrank everything by about that. Oh, bollocks. Ah! See, why does the camera randomly decide I'm going to go back into camera mode 1? No reason whatsoever. Why also will it not let me? It won't let me collect all the pieces that I want for the... Ah, that's why. This is the thing that people keep forgetting to do when they're building on the workshop, and I just forgot to do it then because I am an idiot. Building a thermal bloody pad is proving to be higher. Now, I still don't understand why neon lights are not within the light section. I suppose it would make too much sense for neon lighting to be within the lighting section. It needs to be smaller again. Frontier. I'm gonna say this in the nicest possible way. Fix your fucking shit. Please. I said please. There we go. I'm gonna start off with putting just 2 in here on either side of the walls. Because then what I want to do is I want to have one that is kind of positioned at or 2 that are positioned at angles so that they're pointing inward. I ain't saying nothing. Okay. Reckon one about there. This one is a little too okay. So there's our first set. Now the second set I want pointing at an angle. Kind of between. Actually, maybe it makes more sense to have them connected to the original ones. Have them 2, 3. Okay, and let's have them. I apologize for the humming. Yeah. Talking of placing lights, while doing preparation for my first workshop-based video, which I want to do next week, I was kind of surprised at how many creations that people put up there didn't have lighting of any sort. Like, the number of things are like, oh, this is a good looking building, and then I check what it looks like in the dark, and it's pitch black, and it's like, oh, well, that's disappointing. Which I suppose makes sense. It's indicative of, well, people build in the daylight, don't they? However, here is a quick note for folks that if you want to get on one of my workshop videos, you will be disqualified if you do not have lighting. Unless, you know, the thing that you're building is like a planter or something, so lighting would make no sense. Obviously, if it doesn't make sense for it to light up, doesn't matter, but one of my minimum standards for a building on the workshop is that it should look as good in the dark as it looks during the day, regardless of whether day-night cycle is being used. Fact is, a real-life building has lights. Strict teacher. Well, I'm trying not to sound shitty when I say something like this, but like, given that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of things already on the workshop, I feel like I need to have a kind of quality control, so to speak. Just in order to help, you know, cut the numbers down a bit. That's looking really good. I'm really happy with that. How does that look in the dark? The actual range on those is kind of limited, isn't it? Like, the actual range of the lighting is kind of low. Not gonna lie, I do kind of want it to glow on the ground. I like the flickering neon effect it has. I think that looks very good. looks even better up there. But the fact that it's too... I'm curious about something. How high does it actually have to be to get... Are you joking? If I put it, like, literally right under it, that's got to... Camera, please. Camera, please. It's got to do it if I place it right under it, surely. Okay, so that gives a nice effect, but that's a tad close, don't you think? Okay, so in classic Mythbusters fashion, if at first you don't succeed, cheat. So, how can I replicate... How can I replicate the effect? What if... got one of these and made it red and buried it in a thing? No, that's not going to work. There needs to be more leaky light. I need more leaky light. That's to pinpoint. That would work. Ah, but the only problem is with these lights is that most of them don't come on during the day. Some of them do. I need to find a leaky light which is always on during the day. That one is. One is not, but that one is. Okay. So what if we use that style? And that is why the neon bars are not in the light section. Quite possibly, Evo. Because they recognize their shit. They look very good on the front of my Din castle, but yes, they didn't quite have the effect I wanted them to have. I need to figure out where the middle of this is. The middle of this is about there-ish. Oh, good. It's about here. You know, I'd rather be in first person mode in build. It's intolerable. Okay, so I can bury it and get the same kind of... something else I want to bury. Okay, so if we put another one like that and another one like there, kind of replicates the effect. So I'm reasonably happy with that. So just kind of need to space them out a bit. That is actually that I'm quite happy with the amount of light leak they create. These are quite good, I think. It's not perfect, but I'm happy with the effect. And I think for the use of 9 pieces, King Giga, I think that is an acceptable number of pieces. Because I think overall that effect is actually quite good. If not perfectly centered. I mean, remember, this is only set dressing. You're only ever going to see it at a distance. But I do want to change how some of this looks, because some of this looks a little nasty. So yeah, happy with that. Maybe yep. And then these columns, make them that color, that color. Don't dislike that. I do want to disguise them a bit though. What about if we actually also put some... this is going to be a pain, isn't it? We also put some kind of like on here as well, so... I don't dislike that. Duplicate. Get rotated. Alright, shifted. They don't look random enough, and they're too compact. Well, limitations, King Giga. Limitations. I can't make the ivy look massively random unless I spend forever altering the size and shape of each bit. Plus, I kind of imagine these wouldn't be real ivy. I imagine they would probably be fake. Because real ivy is a pain in the ass to keep under control. You'd never want to use it in a real zoo. And now I think I do want to disguise those a little bit more with some foliage. Where is my beloved wattle bush? This plant is literally the best plant. It's so useful. Maybe we could just interlace a little flower or it? Nah. And I mean, I imagine you could also further customize this. Like if you had a carnivore version of this, or put this in a carnivore bug, you could maybe put some of those skeleton statue pieces under here. But honestly, I think that is almost exactly what I imagined it would look like when I was thinking about this. Well, I actually imagined one that was slightly smaller, but we'll start with the bigger. The bigger something is, the easier it is to deal with. That is definitely everything in one. So we will make the blueprint. 223 pieces. It's not too bad. This we will call the thermal pad. Shall we do a planter now? 2 hours technically for that build. No, it wasn't. Nowhere near 2 hours for that one. We built this sand thingy first. Okay, planter. Let's just do a couple of planters just to break up the stream a bit. So I want to do a few planters that are a bit more specific in the elements that are in them. And Colt used these for some of his, and I was like, oh, I didn't even realize those existed. So I want to do something with one of these. Now, does that control the color of the outer? No, it does not control the color of the outer thing. Though you literally can't. Why is that there? So let's do... I am going to use biome dynamic rocks for this because I want this one to change based on biome. I think what I want to do is I want to have rocks toward the back of this. Just change the rock I was using. I want a big one. That is also what she said. Shush. In the middle. Yeah, and then maybe I want a kind of few smaller ones. One thing I would say about the rock variety we have in this game is that I think we are missing some of like really small sort of scattered stone rock. Like, because having to do it this way is a bit irritating. Like, they need some smaller rocks. Now, foliage. Let's have a look. What do I want this one to be? I don't understand why we cannot change the size of the common reeds. Like, they're one of the few plant varieties we cannot change the size of. It is very peculiar. That's potentially too big. This is the sort of stuff I want at the front. I want something bigger at the back. Maybe this stuff is actually quite nice. I want something that's kind of gonna grow between those, but less like that. Okay. And could we still have some of those? I want something a little higher than that. God, not that big. What is this? What is that? Diamond leaf willow bush. That's kind of interesting. Kind of. It was a little straighter. A joke to be found there about the person currently playing the game. Let's put. No, that won't do at all. Nope. That's a surprising shape. Hey, I wanted to use these, but I don't want them that big. I wanted them a bit shorter than that. Actually, maybe something like that would do. Oh, maybe something like that. That might work. Yeah, I don't dislike that actually. I want some more. I want some more flowering bushes. Like, why don't we have that bush in here anyway? I swear that some of this vegetation we just don't have access to, and it's, not gonna lie, kind of pisses me off. Like, I've noticed we don't have access to any of the paleo vegetation, which really does annoy me, because for my idea of creating the arboretum, well, can't really do it now because we don't have the right stuff. I have to say, I do really like these white flowers. These are Labrador tea flowers. I suppose it makes sense. They're tea flowers. Of course I'm going to like them. Okay, I want one... just want one more sort of very distinctly different coloured. Okay. That looks nice. Nice range of colours. Fletcher, would I like a cuppa? I would love a cup of tea. Thank you, Sable. Thank you. Okay, what shall we call this one? Flower bed one? Now, there was another one of those planters, wasn't there? Metal, this one, which is a weird shape. Can we make it bigger? We can. It's a very odd shape, this one. I assume this is the one they kind of expect you to use for these guys. Yeah. But I don't want to do that. I'm going to use this one for just foliage. So, I do want to put an actual tree in this one. Not a terribly big tree. Just a nice I said not a terribly big tree. Just a nice sort of... Now, I am a fan of having differently coloured trees. But I think for this one, I want it to be a little more generic. So, oh, what is this stuff? The lipstick palm. I actually really liked using this. I think it's a very interesting, interesting plant. Kind of reminds me of rhubarb. Right. I do want this one to be kind of nestled amongst a couple of rocks. Just to make it look like it's been, you know, actually planted in a specific place. Okay, and now let's... Let me put around this. Kind of I don't want every planter to be identical, so... Maybe we could have a range of cacti around this one, actually. Make this like a cacti plant. Kind of makes sense, actually, with the strange shape of this. It kind of has cactus written all over it, actually. Then maybe we can put in... This can be like the... what's the word I'm looking for? Dry? The dry... the dry, sort of biome plants. Probably just made a complete arse of myself, haven't I? Because I don't mean dry, I mean arid. Those were... I'm going to have to resort to using my... Oh, maybe these, actually. See what I mean about the waffle push? It's just really good at, because you can shrink it down to such a small size, and then it works really well as just like a space filler. I kind of like that. You could arrange the planter like a clock. That would be interesting. There's actually one variety of planter I did want to do. I'm gonna have to look up a picture. Well, I probably not actually. I can probably remember what I want it to look like. It was similar to one, or it's basically one I used to use in City Skylines. I just need to figure out what. Probably want to use. Okay, so one. And I want... This one is going to be pretty big. It's going to be more of the sort of things you... might put in a really big plaza or something like that. Made that easy, didn't it? Now we must fill it up. We need the less soil pieces. Which, it's just, I cannot understand why we just don't have a larger soil piece than this. Because I'm going to have to use so many of these. Duplicate. Now, what I then want to do Ah, you bastard. Excuse my French. Ah, thank you for the tea. Oh. Okay, we'll have to do it the old-fashioned way. Is then put in like one. How big do I want these? 4 blocks? Yeah, think about that big. Oh, you pain in the backside, that wasn't the right place. It's not perfect, but that'll do. I really wish my brain would not mess up duplicate and delete. Bugsy that they both have the same starting letter and they're located right next to each other. Right. Now we'll grab this. This might actually turn out to be a little bigger than I wanted it. Yeah, it is. And I want one there. One. This one. So you get a kind of terraced planter. Now we will put some rocks in here. That's a nice rock. Okay. That is a nice boulder. To quote Donkey. Right, this one we can definitely put trees. And I think we can have a reasonably broad tree. What type of tree is that? A Scots pine. It's quite a nice looking tree, actually. I quite like that. Mediterranean cypress. Spruce. Pine tree. Olive tree. Oak tree. Oh, actually, I quite. Well, I have a chunky oak tree sapling in orange. That looks really nice and distinctive. Then I think what I am going to do is just place some common reeds around it. Bed in the rocks with some elephant grass. Same for up here. I feel like Alan Bloody Titchmarsh. And if you don't know who Alan Titchmarsh is, he was often on British TV in the 90s with a show called Ground Force, which was all about gardening and making your garden look better. I was always quite fond of it as a kid. Bring in some of my much beloved wattlebush. Wattlebush was floating. Not allowed to float. Against regulations. Okay, let's have a nice big clump of flowering thyme at the back. Nice. Let's have some sage and rhododendrons. I love a rhododendron. That's such a nice name as well. I love the name rhododendron. Sounds like a kind of like some sort of weird female hero. Sci-fi novel, doesn't it? Rhododendron. Private Eye. It really bugs me that we don't have any proper proper big brightly colored flowers apart from the ones from the arid biome. It kind of means if we want something big and tall, we're kind of limited on what we can make use of. We have a clump of these bracken ferns that are kind of closer together. That look less dead, if preferable. I want something in these corners. Maybe we can have some of those up here as well. How the heck did Evo get in here, says God Aurora. Well, she does have a YouTube as well. Anyway. I feel like I want something on top of these rocks. I think that works. I really like that, actually. I think that's quite nice. We should call this... You know what I probably should have done, actually? And this is something I would probably suggest you guys will do if you're going to make lots of planters and stuff. Make an empty one, save it as a template, and then you could always build multiple different versions. Probably should have thought about that before I went putting everything in. There you go. So what I'm going to do... Probably also going to just... Rocks. And then I'm going to grab that. We will make this as a blueprint, and this will be terraced planter square. Medium. Also, if you tilt the fountains, the water moves. Yes. Actually, that was something I wanted to check, actually. I had an idea for something, but I actually want to investigate what will happen first. So, water does stay in it, but you can't really tell. I wish there were some pieces where the water was kind of slightly deeper. Because I have an idea for something, but I kind of want more of a water than... I think these are too shallow for me. To do what I want with it. Let's do one last enrichment item before the end of the stream. Yes, Godmother, I already knew what you meant. Because that's been the case since Jurassic World Evolution 1. I feel like I want to try to make the trike tractor. Actually, let's do the meat crane, because one of my Discord members has done a meat crane. And I feel like I need to do one myself, just to try and one-up him. Not that I'm competitive or anything. So that probably makes the most sense as a base to start with. How tall is that in comparison to Le Tyrannosaurus Rex? Not tall enough. Probably could do with being slightly higher. Let's have a look now. I feel like that's a better height. Okay. The base is a little flimsy. Looks way too flimsy for the meat crane. Sounds like nightmare fuel. Sounds like the name of a punk rock band, doesn't it? The Meat Cranes. Yeah, the base looks a little flimsy, so let's give it a bit more of a substantial base to this. So let's put one of them in there. And then I feel like we need some angular pieces. I've just had like an idea. Like, what if some of the workers at your park decided to create their own band and they called themselves the Meat Cranes? they're the local staff band and they're called the Meat Cranes. I regret nothing. I am disturbed. Hey Evo, that'll be the name of their first song. Probably better than Owen Grady's first song. I kissed a velociraptor and liked it. Sorry, what? Okay, that looks a little bit more substantial. That's good. I actually think that is slightly not centered. The meat snake is definitely a euphemism. Okay, that's better. That looks a bit more substantial now. Like, it's not going to topple over the minute a T-Rex tries to grab it. That being said, I do think we need some additional... If this is going to be for a possibly hungry carnivore to play around with, we need some proper buttressing on this guy. Okay, that's better. Now, my friend, who shall go nameless, used this, painted it red, and said that's meat. I think we can do better than that if we use a little bit of imagination and some fake bones. This fake ribcage proved to be a bit larger than I expected. Huh. Would we have to make it to actually What if we shrank that down? One more? I want my meat to look as realistic as I can get some meat to look. Sounded weird, didn't it? Okay. That is smart. Now I need to do some height testing, because that... It probably kind of wants to be hanging down kind of there. Get my T-Rex. That would be in biting position. But I don't want it to be that easy to grab. So I think I'm going to have to make the crane taller. So what I'm going to do is grab all of the bits that make up the crane, like thusly, and we will now duplicate by 1, 2, we cannot. Hang on a minute. Is the crane already... The crane can only go up to that size. Okay. I keep knocking something over on my desk. I apologize. The rope will be there shortly, King Giga, but I want to get the position of the crane, like the height and everything first. Because then I know what length of rope I need. Now, if you're going to hang someone, you need to make sure you've got the right length of rope. It was dark, sorry. So again, I reckon Can get around there. We could always put more of a column onto the base of the tower, I guess, if we wanted it to be taller, but... See, I feel like we really want the meat height to be at the height of where that actual jib is. Like, I feel like we want the Rex... I know he's in the ground right now, but I feel like we want the Rex to be having to, like, properly lift his head up, its head up, to get to the meat. So I feel like it needs to be a lot taller. I think... that height. So it's that tall. Right. Let's give it a nice, chunky, rounded. Nice and thick. My mum's going to Iceland. Right. That's fine there. Then we want base on this. Can we make a square base round column? Roughly central. And what about the small carnivores? Well, the small carnivores will have something else that we'll build for them. Are we doing challenge? No, we are. We are not doing challenge mode on Sunday. For a couple of reasons. Firstly, challenge mode has a tendency to bring out my most frustrated, annoyed side. And I don't particularly want to spend the whole stream swearing. But... the other reason is I would like to start on a sandbox build. Well, actually, no, there's two other reasons. The other reason is that I'm recording footage of my challenge mode gameplay for background footage for my review. Just to make it easier to edit. Because obviously I didn't record any of the campaign playthrough. I can go and get some stuff from the streams, but obviously it's just going to be easier to have some which is not already on YouTube. So. But the other reason is say evolution squares like lol, same. The other reason is I want to start a sandbox park. And it will be a bit of an interesting sandbox build. I won't give too much away yet, but I want to try to use prefabs as much as possible. But I shall tell you all more about it on Sunday. I want something to indicate that maybe not that big. Like this, but it's too big. Is indeed what she said. Spoil it, bestie. So basically, I want to try to create a DIN-style training facility on the Azores. That's the we're going to go with. That's the sort of purpose of the park. It's going to be a training facility for DIN personnel. So we're going to make full use of whatever DIN buildings we can. We're also going to create some of our own DIN structures during the sandbox build. Sorry, I hit duplicate in. A dinosaur training facility. No, this is not Jurassic. No, the aim is it's gonna be for DIN training. We're gonna have like ACU training, the chopper training. We're gonna have like a paleobotany, pretend paleobotany educational zone, and everything. My hope is to be able to use this on it. Now that it is finally finished, this might be the sort of centerpiece to the DIN training park. It has been my project for the last week and a half. And it is now fully working now that both bridges are separated entities. So now this is fully working. I'm quite proud of the little garage I made. With the ramp and ATV and things, and this I especially love this idea that this pad is on rails, so it goes inside the hangar for maintenance and then comes back out on rails, like Thunderbird issue. I did fix the issue. For it to work, the bridges had to be their own separate groups. I think it has something to do with the metal pieces that I use to make the actual what is the part of a bridge called where you walk? It must have a proper name. But yeah, I think it's because of these pieces. I think this blue indicator indicated where the hitbox was. Because if you just have it attached to the main building, the hitbox showed as being down here, like as part of the whole building, not up here. So I think that was the problem. But it does also mean that if you want to build the same pattern of bridge elsewhere, you can just duplicate both the gantry and the bridge. So actually, I think it's kind of works out better that way. How do you make a blueprint consist out of separate groups? Well, I can show you quite easily with that, Evo. So technically, okay. So let's grab this. So this is now one group, and then let's just grab my din bunker. Technically, the bunker is its separate group. You drag a box around both entities, confirm, make blueprint. And now if I place that back down again, I don't know, you'll see the blueprint captures both entities. It's the multi-select tool is the key. Just make sure you're like out of everything when you do it. And obviously make sure you only drag the box around what you want. I thought making a blueprint would automatically grip it. Apparently not. I do want to quickly finish this before the end of the stream. Let's just grab this guy and have a look. I probably ought to just leave him here, shouldn't I? Okay, so there's our piece of skeleton. There is our meat. So let us shift our meat. Let's put it... That still feels a bit low, but it's better than it was. Maybe the meat should be rotated. That feels like a better way around of having it. I've said meat too much and now I feel a bit dirty. I feel like we can still make the meat look better. It would work if the meat was... If these decals actually were contour forming, that would be the perfect way of making the meat look more meaty. Oh, you know what? Maybe the puddles would help, because that would give it like a... Ah, yeah, but it's still not going to be... That's a shame. I thought I'd found a good way of doing that. Maybe I'll have to make one where the meat is just like a cube of meat, and then we can put the streaks in it and stuff. But we'll try this one first. We'll see how this one looks in the end. Proppen. Now, most people have been using this. Thing. Have a hook. Do we have something that is a hook shape? Hang on. I really wish... I know maybe it might annoy people, but I wish there was a setting for defaulting the rotate back to 45 degrees. Ah! God in Himmel. As I was saying, I wish there was a way we could choose like the defaulting angle when we leave it, because I keep forgetting to change it back from any to 45 degrees. Okay, that would work as a hook. I just have to move the meat. Again, just sounds filthy. I'm gonna get demonetized. Right. Not that this stream is monetized. Okay, shift the meat up slightly.
90% of the shipping forwards every gets monetized.
And then I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna double up the cable. I don't think that's too bad. It gets the gist across. I think color-wise, let's change the coloration. Those you can't change. This I feel like we'll paint that red, considering, you know, carnivore. These can be like black, and then this bit will be also black. And then again, just to make it a bit less flippin' obvious. Why that one? Actually, no, that's fine. I think that works. Make a match under the meat so it looks like that's how it resupplies. A what? Make a hatch. Oh, hatch. Okay, hang on. Hang on. Now I want to find the right type of flooring. What? Where's that feeder? Hang on. What does that look like? I love the fact that this feeder panel is made of pieces we don't actually have access to. Love it. And we have to make sure it's in the right flipping. Actually, have we got a non-gridded? There we go. No, it was under props. Props is under. Where is it? This sort of thing. The meat is getting in the way. It's a common problem. The meat panel is not in the middle of the... Oh, you... It still needs one more thing. It still needs one more thing. I'm sorry. Look, blame Evo. She was the one who was like, you should put a hatch under it. And now I'm like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it properly. There needs to be trim around this. Would you guys be surprised to hear that when I was at school, I was well known in the design, technology and woodworking classes for dreaming up very difficult to make things. Like, I would have an idea that I would think, oh, this is very simple. And then when I would try to make it, then I would realize it was not so simple after all. Like, the clock I wanted to make in the shape of a zeppelin. Which turned out to look more like a fish. And at the time, Finding Nemo had just came out in cinemas, so everyone thought my clock was in the shape of a fish. So when they all realized it was a zeppelin, they were kind of disappointed. So I christened the zeppelin Nemo. And I think I just aged myself about 10 years. Oh, goddamn. I've also just seen something else I now want to change, having done this. I want to switch that panel out for... not grass. Soil. Animals are generally very cautious about things showing up in their habitat. So you want the thing to look not like a feeder. You want the thing to look like a bush that just so happens to have meat hanging on. That's better. One more. One more. Now it's done. Stop counting King Giga. I know. Blame Evo. Now it's done. That's better. I think that looks like a more proper feeding station. I don't mind a bit of concrete showing up there. This obviously makes sense. Actually, just let's add that classic JPOG feel. I think that looks really good. Let's just double check that, yeah, everything's all together. 79 objects. 10 too many. Now that's a proper carnivore feeder, I think. Delta, eat your heart out. I think that looks really good. Let's make this into said blueprint. We will call this large carnivore. No, actually, let's hanging meat enrichment. LG carnivore. I spelled wrong. I shall do a description of that when I put it on the Oh fuck. Okay, I really hate it when that happens. When you accidentally shift the camera in to blueprint mode and you end up losing the perfect image of it. I shall do the description of that in a minute. There we go. And let's just double check that that worked. It will probably be under scenery. Yes, it did. Nice. Ah. I mean, you might have to always make sure you shrink, you lower it down into the ground, but it does work. Well, we got, what, 3 enrichment things and 2 planters? 3 planters built, so I think that's pretty good going. I might make some more enrichment things off stream, or I might just wait until next week and we do some more. That's all. But yeah, I think these turned out I think they all turned out pretty good. The little arid planter, the little big planter, the little flower one, the thermal pad, and the little sand bath area. I think they all turned out pretty good. So yeah, I will keep that list, and we will do some more of this probably next week. But yeah, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today and watching me build some stuff. Like I say, everything will be up on the workshop. Probably not tonight, but probably by tomorrow. So if anyone wants to use any of the stuff I have made, it'll be up there. And yeah, I will see you guys on Sunday to start our first sandbox park. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evenings, stay safe, and good night.